So a couple of weeks ago, we tried to do something impossible. We tried to balance a cube, a Rubik's cube, on its corner on a finger like this. It's basically impossible, but even the toughest problems have solutions. So I've got the right t-shirt on today. And in fact, today we want to show you how our solution actually worked. Right? So just quickly again, what was our solution? Here it is. So how did we actually do it? We didn't actually tell you, right? So some of you were right. So everybody left comments, everybody had their theories, and quite a few of you were right. We did use a gyroscope. So we actually hollowed out a cube, put a gyroscope inside, and then it was basically a gyroscope balancing on my finger that you saw there. Okay, so first I want to tell you a little bit about how we actually got the gyroscope in, and what else you can do with it there. But then in the end, I actually want to show you how to properly balance a Rubik's Cube without any gimmicks, nothing, just really, properly balance a Rubik's Cube on your finger. So we actually figured that one out too. Maybe it doesn't look quite as cool as the gyroscope balance, but it's the real thing. Okay, so this is the sort of gyroscope that you can find in many places, maybe National Geographic, Australian Geographic here in Australia. So what you do is you just wind a string around the middle shaft and give it a bit of a pull. And that spins up the wheel, and once you've done that, you can put it on your finger like this and it's going to balance. So, very nice. Okay, now the idea now is to just build a Rubik's Cube around that, and then basically it's the gyroscope that's balancing. So we ended up hollowing out a real Rubik's Cube. I mean, the first problem there was to find a Rubik's Cube that's that big enough to house one of those things. And I actually did a bit of a sacrilege there. I hollowed out a mix-up cube. So if there's any cubers in here, I know we shouldn't do this. If you haven't seen mix-up cubes, they look like this. They're cut exactly like Rubik's Cubes. But you see that the cuts are not quite even. And the effect this has is that when you kind of go like this, you can also rotate the whole thing like that, and then kind of go, and the whole thing kind of really goes into a very strange shape. So obviously this is not terribly inexpensive, something like this. But anyway, it was the only one that I had that fitted the whole thing. So here's if you've never seen this, is a hollow mix-up cube. So you take a piece, take a Dremel tool, and cut away everything except for the bit that belongs to the outside. And then you put this thing inside. Actually, it turns out that this didn't work. Didn't work properly, couldn't get it to balance. So we started hunting for better solutions. And we actually found the Rolls-Royce of gyroscopes. These things are made in the UK and they're absolutely amazing. So if you want a really nice gyroscope, get one of those. I actually bought 5. So they come with a little motor. You just hold it here to the spindle, and now the whole thing spins up to, they say, 12,000 rotations per minute. So with this thing here, you can just have it sit somewhere forever, and it will just sit there for maybe 7 minutes, 8 minutes. You can just forget about it, come back, have a cup of coffee. Okay, so now it's going as fast as it can. Let's switch it off. So there it is. There's the balance again. Maybe just before we get into all the Rubik's Cube stuff, there's a few things that you can explore with these sorts of things. So for example, if you put it at an angle like this, I mean, it would usually top over, but not a gyroscope. Gyroscope does this sort of thing. Okay, and you can do even more extreme things. So if you rest the gyroscope on a corner like that, and take a string, and just pull it up. We'll do this dance here. I mean, anything else would just fall over, right? Or something else you can try is, you can go like this. Put the gyroscope on a tightrope, and that works too. And all sorts of other things. Actually, the whole kit comes with a lot of suggestions for all sorts of nice experiments. Anyway, so now get this thing into a Rubik's Cube, have it spin. Actually, didn't end up using this one here, so that was a waste of time. But anyway, so what I did use is this here. It's also a proper Rubik's Cube. It's actually a very cheap one, so there's no loss. There was like $2, but this happened to be just the right size. So that's a normal Rubik's Cube. That's what I got in the reject shop or somewhere. And so I hollowed that one out. Actually, been sitting on the shelf. It's a bit deformed, more deformed than it used to be. Yeah, so hollowed it out, and let's just balance this one now, okay? So there's a little bit of blue tack in the corner. I'll just spin this up a little bit more, because you really want it to spin very fast before you start this experiment here. So just spin it up again. You probably also remember we had the music going while I was balancing this thing. Well, there's noise here, which you would hear, so that's why the music's playing. Okay, so here we go. All right, now I have to fit this inside. So in it goes. Right in the corner. Put the lid on carefully. I don't worry too much about aligning it or anything. Anyway, that's what it is, okay? And now we'll just pick it up. Put it on the finger like this, and it goes. And it's actually a very strange feeling. It's a little bit like when you go up the escalator isn't moving. It doesn't feel right, but it's a very peculiar feeling. So, I mean, if you've got some time, I recommend this experiment here. Okay, so that's the Rubik's Cube around the gyroscope. I actually tried a more extreme version. There are these money banks that look like 5x5x5 Rubik's Cubes. And, well, they're pretty perfect for this sort of purpose. I actually hollowed one of those out. So there it is. And I also want to try and balance one of these guys here for you, so you see something new. So we'll do spin up again. Because this one is actually quite heavy. So that empty shell that I just used, that was just like 40 grams. So that balances very well. This one is more than 100 grams. So it gets a bit iffy. So you have to really get it very, very straight up, otherwise it topples over, even with the gyroscope inside. So let's just do it. Get it right into the corner there. There's actually a little bit of blue tack there in the corner. Okay, get it really straight. And there it is. So that's a pretty impressive one, right? 5x5x5, balancing on a finger. No strings attached. All right. Okay, but some of you might now say, well, it's still, it's not really, you're not really balancing a Rubik's Cube on your finger, right? So some people might be disappointed. But as I promised, I'll now show you how to properly balance a Rubik's Cube on your finger, okay? So ready for that? Okay.
Okay, so this is what he's gonna do. He's gonna do something very amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna balance this thing. Okay, so I'm gonna actually show that this is a real Rubik's Cube.
Yep. That's a normal Rubik's Cube.
It's a normal, well, not really normal, but...
Well, actually it's huge, but it doesn't matter.
Okay. Now we're going to do 500 takes of me trying to balance this thing on my finger, okay? So we're going to put it on. Now I just want to see whether I can actually get it almost into balance, okay? Now I'm going to try to keep it on as long as I can. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Whoa, okay. That was pretty good. All right, so I'm balancing this thing here. And so why does it work? Well, it's the same thing with when you try to balance a pencil on your finger. It's basically impossible. When you instead try to balance a broomstick, it's straightforward. Anybody can balance a broomstick on a finger like this, and just try it at home, right? So you just put it on here, kind of look at the top, it's automatic. You can do it, right? Same thing here. Oh yeah, just get rid of this. So same thing here. This one, basically a pencil, can't do it. That one here is just within the range of me being able to do this. Okay, now I actually got this going for 7 seconds, and well, I'm counting really fast there, but I assure you time passes very fast when you try something like this. I'm sure with a bit more practice, with a bit more trying, with actually going for the 500 takes, we would have gotten a lot longer. But anyway, so let's balance a Rubik's Cube, except what I really want to do now is balance this Rubik's Cube, which is the latest addition to my collection. So this was a mere $300, I think. This is a 13 times 13 times 13 Rubik's Cube. So it moves very nicely. But well, balancing weighs a kilo. Maybe next time.